Hi, I'm Bevan, and it's been such a privilege to walk with you a little bit in your journey as God has been stirring your heart for missions. Often in this journey into missions, one question that comes up is, hey, when Jesus said, go make disciples of all nations, was that for every follower of Jesus, for every disciple, or was that for the missionaries? And we think, yeah, it was very clear that Jesus is speaking to all of his disciples, present and future. And so that brings up another question actually, and that is, hey then, is every follower of Jesus a missionary? Or is every follower of Jesus called to be a missionary? And those are very important questions that we don't really have the time to unpack fully here. So please look in the Digging Deeper section for further resources on that topic. But here's the short answer. Yes, every follower of Jesus is called to be a part of the Great Commission, called to be involved in reaching all nations. And yet at the very same time, not every follower of Jesus is called to be a cross-cultural missionary. So let's unpack that a little bit. So yes, 2,000 years after Jesus said, go to all nations, we still have over 2 billion people with no access to the gospel. And so we are desperately praying together with Jesus for more laborers to be raised up to go into the harvest. And we're praying that many of you will be the answer to that prayer. And yet ultimately, we need to be obedient to what Jesus is asking of you. And we want to affirm that actually there are at least 6 different roles that he could be asking you to step into. And each of these roles is very vital to fulfilling the Great Commission. So of course, when we think missions, we think goer. And yes, definitely we need more goers. And there is no substitute for people who are willing to pioneer a new place, go there, learn the language, learn the culture, make disciples, raise up local leaders, and see a movement catalyzed to Jesus. That we absolutely need. But is there other roles? Yeah, there sure are. And one way we can get at this is to look at Romans 10:13 through 15 and what it says there. It goes like this. For everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. How then can they call on the one they have not believed in? And how can they believe in the one of whom they have not heard? This is talking about those over 2 billion people who haven't had a chance to hear about Jesus for the first time. And how can they hear without someone preaching to them? And how can they preach unless they are sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of those who bring good news. Very interesting. How can they preach unless they are sent? Seems to be talking about 2 different roles there. And I love that it goes on to say how beautiful are the feet of those who bring good news. And I like to ask the question, who has the beautiful feet? Is it the preacher or is it the sender? And I would say, yeah, both of them have beautiful feet, because we absolutely need senders to be able to support and sustain those that are called to go out. I feel like I've had a front row seat to seeing amazing men and women from Asia, Africa, Latin America, and the rest of the world who God is calling. And often they are ready to go to the unreached places, but their obstacle is lack of senders, lack of support. So a sender, yes, there's a generosity aspect to it, but it also can be very practical ways to get behind that guy who's launched into the nations and continue to support them. So we need senders. And related to that, of course, is the role of prayer and intercession. We really affirm what A.B. Simpson said. Prayer is the mighty engine that is to move the missionary work. So as we mobilize prayer, God responds to that. We've seen in the Muslim world, we've mobilized millions to pray every year during Ramadan. And before that prayer movement, there was only a couple movements to Jesus in the Muslim world. And since that time, there are many movements to Jesus in all the houses of Islam. God is responding to prayer. And this takes off the geographical boundaries, right? Because you could be anywhere in the world and you can still pray and be involved in the Great Commission and seeing nations transformed. Amazing. So, of course, some of us are right at the beginning of this journey, so we don't know about what roles, or we don't even understand missions at all. So that is a legitimate role. You can be a learner. Learn about it. Read the biographies. Find a missions course, do Bible studies, ask questions, start to grow in your understanding of what God is up to and your part in it. That's a legitimate role, the role of learner. Another role that's not as familiar that I'm excited about is the role of welcomer. in the last decades, there has been massive migration all across the world of people going from one place to another. So often, if we don't go to the nations, guess what? The nations are coming to us. They are moving into our cities, and often they are from unreached people groups. So rather than shrinking back, we could actually rise up in hospitality, welcoming them and helping them with their transition, and we would win so many to Jesus if we would just embrace the role of the welcomer. Okay? The last role we'll talk about is the role of mobilizer. What is that? Well, it's just a leader, could be part-time, could be full-time, could be in a local church or a mission agency, but they are a leader who understands, yes, the Great Commission is central to what God is doing, and it is for every believer, every disciple. And so then they are proactively trying to help those under their influence to look up, see the nations, and find their role in the Great Commission. So the role of mobilizer is so important because they are actually serving all the other parts, helping the goers find their role, helping the prayers have knowledge about what to pray for. All of these different roles, they're trying to help people find those opportunities and become effective in them. So we need to see many more mobilizers rise up who are going to come alongside of the body of Christ, trying to see the whole church bring the whole gospel to the whole world. We need every believer to play. This is too big of a commission and too big of a task for just the full-time specialists. We need every believer to step up into their role. So no matter where you're called to be geographically, and no matter what you're called to do as a job, we believe you can be a part of the Great Commission. We need goers, yes, but we need all these other roles also. And so in this season, which role is God highlighting for you? And how can you take a step to really be more proactive, more intentional, and active in that role? And then secondly, who can you involve with you? Who can you invite to do that with you? Whether it's praying or sending or welcoming, who can you invite to be involved in that with you? God bless you as you take the next steps in your journey.
Mentoring Missions Advocates. This is globalcastresources.com.